This is Tim Rivers with J6 Patriot News. And today we're going to talk about the Patriot Mail Project. It's a very encouraging program that has kept communications open between the Patriot community and the public and all of the J6ers across America incarcerated in prisons in different states. I have two people who are pivotal in keeping this project running. One is Paula Calloway and the other is Marie Goodwin. And welcome to the show today. I'd like to ask you guys a couple of questions about the project because it's having such a big impact and so many people are now involved in writing and staying in direct communications. The two gentlemen I write to tell me that they sometimes have stacks of letters waiting to be read, and that is a lifeline that goes out to them every day. Paula, let me start with you. Can you tell me a little bit about how the Patriot Mail Project got started and how you got involved with it?
Yeah, Tim, so back in 2016, and so I guess a little background first, that's when you had the Bundy trials. There were several more than just the Bundys, but we always refer to them as the Bundy trials. And that was right after LaVoy Finicum had been murdered, and they had started coming and arresting people in March. The arrests that they made weren't just for people that were at the Mount Hare Bird Refuge, but they went all the way back to the prior event that had happened at the Bundy Ranch. So there was a lot of people that were getting arrested all at one time. And some of the Patriots that were working together back then came together and formed the Patriot Mail Project. There was actually two ladies. I think one was named Starla and one was named Lisa, and I really don't know their last names or can't remember it. And they started that probably in late March of 2016. And it was a Facebook group. Everything was done inside this private group. And I got involved that April, I think. So it's probably been going about 3 or 4 weeks. And I got involved and several others. And these ladies, I'm not sure of the reason, but they kind of stepped back right about the beginning of May of that year. So a couple of us, Mandy Jacobs and myself, we kind of took over and just kept the group going, said that the mail would keep going. And it just grew from there until, those trials were over, those people were released. And then it sat dormant there for a couple of years until this happened with our January 6th guys. And it was time to get that started again. There was a need again.
Absolutely. And it's really served that need well. How's that project really changed public awareness? I know you probably get letters back all the time, but what do you think about how's the public viewing this now that there is communications directly with these folks?
As far as like the general public, people who aren't already aware, I'm not really sure how it's changed their viewpoint, but the ones who take the time to write, I feel like that they see this on a more personal level, which also gives them the ability to want to share that with other people and really want to make other people understand what's going on. So in that aspect, I think it has built public awareness, but it's really from the ones who are writing, who are getting the feedback from the guys, and that communication, it makes it more real when you're really talking to someone who's living through it, not just hearing it on the news or seeing it in your social media groups, but you're actually talking to the person who is living that experience, and it makes you want to tell more people and get more people involved. So I think that would be the way that it has affected public awareness.
And it's a hard experience, I think, for some people to understand. Marie, I'd like to ask you a question. Now, your son Daniel was a video journalist documenting what happened there in DC that day on January 6th. As a result of that, he's now a J6 defendant, just for being out there and doing his job. And I'm wondering, how did that have anything to do with your joining the Mail Project?
Thank you for having us. Yes, actually, first of all, I met Paula through a group that was meeting that represented families of people who were arrested and in jail. And yes, the task force, anti-terrorism task force, came to our house in a raid, and it was pretty horrendous. And I was very traumatized by it, and so was my family. And when I got to hear what Paula was doing, I thought that was an amazing way for me to not only help myself to heal from that, but to also help other patriots that were in dire condition in the Gulag in DC.
And your work has done a lot to keep those, yours and Paula's work, to keep those defendants connected to the Patriot community. It's had some dramatic effects, I think, on the mental and spiritual well-being of those people being held hostage, especially those held in the worst jail in the country, the DC Gulag. Your son has been recipient of some of this mail and letters. Can you tell me a little bit about how that has affected his well-being and his ability to withstand this persecution?
Oh yes, so he receives a mail that is, okay, I wanted to mention that those who are not in jail, we get their addresses, but we do not publish any personal address for security reasons. So yes, my son gets mail, sent by Paula actually, to my house, and he loves it. I mean, he reads the letters and he brings a smile to his face, and it kind of lifts up his spirit to know that people are not abandoning him. So yes, it's very important.
Now, you guys have gone a little bit farther in this year, and which you have done, the Patriot Project had done in the past, but this year, as many J6 families were denied not only their primary sources of income, but their loved ones, you guys sponsored a Christmas project to help with the families of January 6th defendants who were still being held, and even some of those who had been released were now in pretty dire financial circumstances. Paula, can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe how many families and children you guys were able to help this year?
Sure. So I think there was 17 or 18 families that signed up, and really I got to thank Marie for that, because she is the one that speaks to the families. I have a few I speak to, but Marie really kind of pulled those in. And so out of the 17 to 18 families, there was around 40 children that we were able to sign up. And again, Marie was a lifesaver on that as well. She really kept putting it out there on Telegram. I've been a little, stubborn when it comes to Telegram, and I'm trying to get better, but Telegram's never been my thing, but I'm really working on that. I really am. But she really pushed hard through that, and her Gab, and of course, I'm good with my contacts as well, but I got to give Marie a lot of credit for the participation in that project. So we were able to raise around $6,100 in donations that we spent. I done a lot of Amazon shopping. I hate to admit it, but with the shipping charges that we were incurring from the presents that were being sent to my house, Amazon just seemed the best way to go about it. So I hated to do it, but the shipping was unreal. And I can't estimate exactly how much I think that Christmas project brought in, because a lot of presents came to my house already wrapped. Boxes came that weren't wrapped. There was a group out of Texas, and I mean, I don't even know how many boxes they sent. They adopted so many families, and they tagged every single item in every box with the last name of the child's age. I mean, they made it so easy for us, because we had gotten some that we were really struggling trying to figure out, what kid does this go to? So I can't really put a total amount on how that did. I can just say that, we got a lot of gift cards. We did get a lot of financial donations that we bought gifts for the children and sent through Amazon. And just a lot of participation. And it kind of renews your faith in people, I guess, to see that many people came together for these 40 kids. Now, I wish that we would have had more of the children on there. But, I mean, the ones that signed up, I hope that they had a very good Christmas.
That's amazing.
And they did. I received lots of messages from families telling me how exciting it was for the kids to receive presents. They were so elated. Yeah, that was wonderful. And I want to say that Paula did a lot of work. She spent hours sorting through things and mailing. And my goodness, she has a group that helped her do the packing. And it was an amazing thing to see. I got a few packages to pack, but she got probably 95% of them.
And that's a huge job. I hate shipping things, and especially around Christmas time, it's a real challenge. You guys, is there any idea how many letters have been used through the Patriot Mail Project to go to defendants? I know get tons of them. I've got a stack of them beside me from the guys that I write to. Any idea how much mail is actually getting through to these folks?
I have no idea. I can say before Christmas, the mail was plentiful that came here. Now, the only mail that comes here is the mail that's going to go to the ones who are not in the jails. And they were getting tons of mail there for quite a while. I would say anywhere, because I would get it, then I'd have to resend it back out so nobody else would have to have their address. And I'm going to have to estimate somewhere between $45 and $115 a week in postage that would go out. I will say right now, since Christmas, it has been just a couple of letters here or there. Not like it was before. I hope that people are still writing to the jails, and from what I understand in the letters that I'm getting from the guys in jail, I do think that they are keeping that up, just not as much to the ones at home, I reckon. But so I really don't know. I hope they're getting tons.
Well, I know they are, because it's really irritating the folks at the jail having to read all of that mail before they can pass it on.
Yeah.
But that's
now,
great.
I get a lot of questions through the website. People asking me, do I have to put my return address on there, or what can I write? What can't I write? So, and a lot of them are groups. That's been pretty nice to hear from. You've got different GOP, Tea Party type groups. I mean, just different states. And what they tell me that they're doing is that when they have their monthly meetings, they're all sitting down and writing letters together and mailing them off. So that is great, and I hope that continues to grow, because I mean that's really kind of what grassroots is about. But I would just love to somehow be able to know how much mail has generated through, especially like the efforts that Maria's done online, and then the project itself and the original supporters that it had. It would be amazing to know.
Well,
yeah, one of the inmates told me that he had 60 letters to read, and I heard from some others they had pounds when they have to move to another jail. They mail out their belongings so that it doesn't get lost, and they were saying they had pounds of mail that they had to mail out. So yes, I am sure that would be maybe a few thousands.
That's a lot of mail. One of the things I have from my letters that I get back from these guys, they are incredibly faithful to their country, considering what their country is doing to them. And I know some of you guys get letters back just casually. When you get a letter from these guys, what do they write about to you?
The conditions that they're living in. Some read like something that maybe 100 years from now someone's going to read in a history book. Those are pretty amazing, and I don't know how to really describe what I'm trying to say there, but it doesn't feel like you're just reading a letter that somebody sat down and wrote on a whim. It's they're really thought out and really explain exactly what they're going through with reference to what's going on in the political atmosphere as well. I mean, I can imagine that our forefathers probably sat down and wrote things similar to what some of these guys write in their letters. And then some are just more lighthearted and more about, who they are and what brought them to where they're at and so forth. It just depends on who it is that's writing.
Well, I know almost all of the ones that I get from the two guys that I write to regularly they're always so filled with positivism despite what's going on around them. Yeah, I can sense the unhappiness and the anger and the stress that they're under, but I mean, these guys are incredible. They sing the national anthem together every night with hundreds of thousands of Americans across the country. They basically have prayer circles of their own. They support each other. They report it when each other are assaulted so they can get help. It's just an incredibly resilient group, especially there inside the DC Gulag. Mm-hmm. But this is a spread. I'm sure you're probably aware of it, but your work with the letters has kind of morphed into a huge support campaign where Americans are signing up to take care of these guys every month and make sure that they have communication funds. And that is even morphed even further into rallies and protests for them all across the United States in front of jails everywhere they're being held. It's become a national meme that has kind of spawned from all the communications that have come in and out. I'm not sure if you're aware of how far it has gone. But Marie, I know you've been working on taking that message even further. Can you tell us a little bit about the other methods of getting this messages out? And I can tell you that we post these letters when they come in. The sponsors send the letters to us here at J6 Patriot News and American Gulag Chronicles, and we type them out and post them. And the response we get from the American public is incredible. So we're taking that one-to-one experience between an inmate and their sponsor, and we're sharing it with the rest of America, and it's really having an effect. Can you tell us, Marie, a little bit about some of the things you've been doing to spread that word a little further?
Yes, so of course there is the prisoner's record where they are doing a very good job with the list that they have to promote their fundraisers. So they have a lot of people on that list, and they have a prayer group that meets every night at 7:30. And I've been part of this group on and off, and it's really encouraging for people to have that together, to be able. Some of the defendants come and pray with us, so that's really wonderful. And of course, there is the group, the Gulag Chronicles, where the letters are published, and that's wonderful for people to be able to see what is going on inside the jails and otherwise. And of course, we started, you and I, the J6 Patriot News, and this was started originally to be able to have families of defendants to tell their story, because we had heard already about from the J6ers who are incarcerated, but lots of people do not realize the impact this has on families, and I wanted to really show that to people, to the American people, so they will know what suffering is involved in all this, because of course the man the father being in jail, the income is gone. So many of the wives had to go find jobs that they were taking care of their kids, so now they have to go out and find a job. It's very traumatic for them, and it's very difficult because even some families, they lost their renting, they were kicked out because of J6. So there are lots of very difficult stories, and I wanted people to be able to hear about that. So that's about the things that we do, and there are lots of other places that are helping the J6ers, and we try to communicate with each other to be able to go as far as we can, because of course the blockade from the media is really difficult to get through. So we try by any means we can to spread the word.
You guys are doing an incredible job. And let me go back to you, Paul. How can the public help with your project? Besides writing, can you tell us exactly where they can find the addresses to write to these prisoners? And I guarantee anybody who writes to them and receives the return letter will be changed forever in their attitudes about what these people are going through. Can you?
Yeah, so if they go to our website, patriotmailproject.com, we have it two ways. So there's a spreadsheet that can be accessed there with all the addresses, or there are the individual cards that Marie creates for each one, where you can sort state, or just there's different sort features there. But if they'll just go to that website and just share the information and ask others to join in writing, or maybe if they are in a local group of patriot-minded folks, that they'll take that to their group and ask the group to write each month, or more often would be great. But just to get more people involved in writing, I mean, make it to where those jailers have nothing else to do but go through mail.
Well, we'd love that. I have to thank you both for your work and for your commitment and the love that you've shown to the Patriot community and to these people who are being incarcerated for often exaggerated and made up crimes. And I hope that justice comes to all of them. And thank you so much for your time, and most certainly for your commitment and your love, both of you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having us.
For J6 Patriot News, this is Tim Rivers.